Hi, and welcome to this Skillshare class, Add Character to Your Videos with Adobe Character Animator. In this class, you will learn how to easily add animated characters to your voiceover videos. I'll go through a fun, easy, and painless step-by-step process using Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe Audition, and Adobe Character Animator. Much of the process is automated, and you don't need to be an artist or animator to follow along. So let's get started. Now I recorded this video at 4K and I'm going to be outputting to 2K, which is 1080. So I need to shrink this down first. So I'm going to select the video, let's go to scale and drop that down to 50. And now that's ready to go. And we have some audio here with me introducing the example puppets in Adobe Character Animator. I'll go ahead and play that for you. Hello and welcome to Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the example puppets that are ready to use in your own project. And so the first part of this process is going to be editing the audio to get it ready for Adobe Character Animator. So we're going to select the clip, again right click, and then go to Edit Clip in Adobe Audition. And this is going to load up Adobe Audition for you. Alright, so here we are in Adobe Audition and we have our extracted audio. And the first thing we need to do is to clean this up. So let's go ahead and play it a little bit. Hello and welcome to Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the examples. Now fortunately the audio is recorded pretty well. The levels are pretty good. It wasn't too quiet and it wasn't too loud. And if you look at the waveform, there's not a lot of noise in between the speech parts. Now it's important to have good audio for Adobe Character Animator. In case your audio was too quiet, what you can do is go to Effects. Under Amplitude and Compression, you can apply normalization. Now what normalization does is it makes everything a lot louder basically, or it brings everything to the same level. I wouldn't set it to 100, I'd set it to maybe like 70 or 80%. And you can also set it by decibels, and I'd maybe go down to -6 decibels or something, probably be good. For now, our audio is pretty good, so we don't need to normalize it. So similar to normalization, what you can do is add compression to your audio. This is under Effects, Amplitude and Compression, and Dynamics. So what a compressor does is it reduces the dynamic range of audio, which is the difference between the loudest parts and the quietest parts of your audio. It makes everything kind of the same volume. Now what you want to do is you want to turn on the compression. This audio is pretty good, so we won't need to do a lot of compression, and I won't really go into too much of the detail in this video since this is mostly about Adobe Character Animator. So I'm going to do some basic settings. Set the ratio to about 3. We'll leave the threshold where it is for now. We'll drop the attack down to 0, or as close to 0 as you can. And we're not going to apply it just yet. Let's listen to the audio. These are some of the example puppets that are ready to use in your own projects. If you click, so you'll notice as we turn the compression off and on, it got louder when we turned it off and it got quieter when we turned it on. That's the compression in effect. It's basically making the loudest parts quieter, and this is really dependent on this threshold level right here. Here's some of the example puppets that are ready to use in your own projects. If you click See More, you can download additional puppets. We don't need too much compression on this. I'm going to leave it about 16 dB. That is the volume at which it starts compressing. So I think 16 dB is good. Get a little compression on the top. And then what you want to do is add some makeup gain. So what the makeup gain does is it makes the quieter parts louder. So just add a little bit of makeup gain. Let's go back. Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the example puppets that are ready to use in your own projects. If you click See More, you can download additional puppets. It's not really that noticeable, but we'll go ahead and apply, and you'll see what happens. See, now you'll notice here that there's less peaks and valleys in this waveform, but it seems like it got chopped off a little bit too much. So I'm going to go back in and redo that. So let's go back to Dynamics, Compression. Let's bring the threshold up a little higher. I don't need it chopping off so much. Let's do a -10. And then we'll bring the makeup gain a little bit higher too. And that looks better to me. It's brought up the lower parts a little bit and it hasn't chopped off the highs as much. Hello and welcome to Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the example puppets, and it's pretty loud. It's at -6, so that's pretty good. So another thing you might want to do is get rid of some of the noise in between your speaking part. This audio isn't too bad, but if you did have a lot of noise, some kind of hum in the background, you can use the denoisers to get rid of it. So there's a little bit. You can hear a little bit of computer hum. We'll try to get rid of that. So select a part between your speaking parts, and then you can go to effects, noise reduction, restoration, and we'll go to noise reduction. You also have click pop eliminator, hiss reduction. We'll just go to noise reduction for now, and then we'll capture the noise print, which is this selected part right there. And then we can do the noise reduction to 100% and reduce by, I don't want it to reduce it by that much. 16 seems a little high to me. Do that in half. And then what you want to do is make sure you select the entire file, and then you can apply. Now you'll notice the change in the waveform. It's going to be hard to hear. Actually, you know what? We'll listen to it. See more. And actually I did a pretty good job. It's almost dead silent between the speaking parts. And you'll really notice it on the waveform itself. Let me undo it. Oops. And this is before, you have that little bump there. And this is after, it totally flattens it out. So getting your audio right is kind of an art and a science. And it's a little beyond the scope of this class, but you can keep going back in and doing noise reduction and normalization and compression to get the audio at the right level and sounding clean. Just be careful not to process it too much, because you can start to distort the audio. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and save the audio. Could do a save as. I think I may have saved it before, so we'll do a save as. All these settings are good. Okay, it's going to overwrite, that's fine. And it should update that in Adobe Premiere. So let's hop back in there. And here we are back in Adobe Premiere, and looks like the audio extracted. That is the audio from Adobe Audition. Looks like it's in there. Excellent. If you click see more, sounds good. All right, so now it's on to Character Animator. Okay, so here we are in Adobe Character Animator. And first thing you want to do is go to File and New Project. And we'll go ahead and save this project. And it opens the interface. Now what we want to do is go back to the home screen, because we're going to use one of these example puppets. Now all these example puppets are already set up and rigged, so they're really easy to use in your own projects. If you want, you can go to See More, and you can download additional puppets. And all these puppets and all these puppets, they're all free to use however you want. No credit needed. So we'll go back to here for now. I'm going to select this red monster and click on him. And here we are back in the Character Animator. And we have our red monster and our scene right here with red monster. Now what we want to do, well, you'll notice that if you turn the mic on, it's already animating. You can see him talking. And if you turn on your webcam, you could actually have it animating according to your video. But since we have recorded audio, we're just gonna turn that off for now. Since we already have our own audio, we're gonna import that. So in this project window here, we're going to double click and then import our audio that was processed in Audition. And we'll drag that to the timeline. And here we have our audio. Hello and welcome to it. So like I said, this is going to be pretty simple and easy. So we go to Timeline and Compute Lip Sync Take from Seam Audio. Oops. So select, make sure you have the audio selected. And there we go. Now if we play it, you'll see, hello and welcome to Adobe Character Animator. You see that the character is already animating to our audio, and we didn't really have to do too much. He does seem a little lifeless though. He's kind of just sitting there with his mouth moving. So what you can also do is go to timeline, and you can compute the head movement from speech also. So we'll let that compute. And here we go. Let's play that. These are some of the example puppets that are ready to use in your own projects. And as you can see, there's already quite a lot done that was automated through Character Animator. So now we're going to add a little bit of custom animation to our animation. So what we're going to do now is you select the red monster and you go over here to properties. You'll have all these behaviors that you can animate. What I'll do is select red monster here in the timeline, and you'll see this this red button, this red circle, and these are all things that can be recorded. So for right now, the lip sync is okay, so we'll turn that off. Click that, and we're not going to work with the triggers just yet. Transform, we're going to leave that for now, and the face, we're not using the camera input, and all this stuff has already been automated for us for the most part. For right now, we're gonna use the eye gaze. Now, if you open that up, right now it's set to camera input, but if we set it to, you can set it to mouse and touch, and there's also keyboard input. So with that, wherever you click, he looks, and that adds a little bit more realism. And if you want, you can look at specific things. So you have that set up to mouse and touch. Now what you want to do is go to the beginning of your animation, and we're going to record a take of us controlling the eye gaze. So went back to the beginning, can hit record. Hello and welcome to Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the example puppets that are ready to use in your own projects. If you click See More, you can download additional puppets, and all these puppets are free to use however you want in your projects. So let's get started. And there we go, we recorded our take of us controlling the eye gaze. And we'll play a little bit. Just hello and welcome to Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the, so that's pretty cool. Since we're done with that, we'll turn that off. And now we're going to record some of the triggers, which are special animation setup. Now we'll close that. Oops, sorry. Close the eye gaze. Let's open up the triggers, and we'll turn on the red dot. And so if you go over here, you'll see all these triggers, and you can click on them and they'll do this little short animation, or you can press the keys. So 1 does that, 2, 3, 4, and just like we did before with the eye gaze, we'll go back to the beginning and we'll record a take. And this is just an example, so the triggers I'm using, controls, are going to be a little bit nonsensical, but just to give you a sense of how they work. So let's go record. Hello and welcome to Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the example puppets that are ready to use in your own projects. If you click See More, you can download additional puppets, and all these puppets are free to use however you want in your projects. So let's get started. And like that, we have our triggers recorded. Go ahead and turn that off since we are done recording. And we can watch what we did. Hello and welcome to Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the example puppets that are... So, there you go. Pretty simple. So we have this timeline here, and you can see all the triggers on the timeline. You can, if you want, manually edit these. Hello and welcome to Adobe Character Animator. And you can add some in. That was me right-clicking. And then you can also move them around if you want. Character Animator. And there we go. We automated the lip sync and the head movements, and then we've animated ourselves the eye gaze and some of these little triggers. So now that we have our character animated, now we want to bring it back into Premiere. So we're going to export. Go to File, Export. And what you want to do is video with alpha. And what this is going to do, it's going to give you a transparent background. Okay, so we'll save our scene, Red Monster, MOV. And we'll start the Adobe Media Encoder. Okay, so here we are in Adobe Media Encoder. Let's go ahead and press, make sure it's saved in the right spot. And go ahead and press play. And it will export your video. And like I said, it was with an alpha. So you have the black background here. Alright, so here I am back in Premiere, and we're going to import the character into our project. So the red scene, or the scene Red Monster, import that, and let's go ahead and drop that into our timeline. And you'll notice that it came with the audio track. Since we have it synced to that, and since it's the same audio, it shouldn't matter, but just in case, we'll use the import audio. Let's unlink this audio. Go ahead and get rid of that for now. And let's play it, see how it looks. Hello and welcome to Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the example puppets that are ready to use. So there we go. We've got the puppet in there. It's transparent. It's on top of the video we had before. The audio is synced. It's all animated. Looks pretty cool. That was fairly easy to do. So there's a little bit more we can do in Premiere with our animation. If you'd like, you can have a character move around. So to do that, we would go over here to our effects controls, and under motion, you want to keyframe the position. So start at the beginning, do keyframe here. Let's go to the end, and this is just for demonstration purposes. But we'll just have the character move to the right, and the keyframe is already set. And you'll see that animation come through. And so let's say you want to have the character come in at a certain time. What you may want to do is, if you're going to edit the character separate from the audio, you may want to unlink the audio for now. And if you go over here to effects and video transitions, you can use a dissolve, cross dissolve. So let's use the cross dissolve. Hello and welcome to, and there we go, we have the character animating in. We can have the character animate out also, so towards the end. I like to use actually these immersive videos. I think they're supposed to be for VR, but they actually look really cool on regular video too. So put this light rays on the end and have it kind of fade out. Well, that didn't look so nice actually. Let's try light leaks. Oh yeah, that looks a little cooler. So there we go. We've got some effects and some transitions. Something else you may want to do to sort of customize the character a little bit is affect the color. So over here under effects, you can go to lumetri color, and you can play around with the shadow and tint, highlight, and then we can go down to color wheel and match, adjust the shadows and highlights, midtones. And now we have a little bit of a more unique character. I mean, we're still using the example puppets, but you know, it's a little bit tweaked. And you know, you could, of course, you can go ahead and try any of these other settings. You know, there's all these effects here, so go ahead and have fun with it. One last thing we're going to do with the video, or I'm going to show you, is since I'm kind of like into audio, is if you go over here to the audio workspace and we'll select our audio. Okay, so I reset the audio to the saved workspace, and then we have the audio track mixer. If you hit that right there, it brings up all the effects. If you press play, use in your, you'll see that the audio is on this track right here. Up here are all these audio effects. So if you want, you can add some. What we'll do is we'll add a little reverb, a little convolution reverb to that, and your own projects, and then adds that effect to it. It's just a little extreme. Let's turn down a little bit. If you click see more, you can download additional puppets, and maybe we'll try something else. Let's do a low flanger, see how that sounds. So I'm gonna put some flanger on that, and all these puppets are free to use however you want in your projects. So let's get started. And if you click here, you get all the different settings. Let's change the modulation rate. Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the example puppets that are ready to use in your own projects. If you click see more, you can download additional puppets. And so actually that sounds pretty cool. I like that. It's got a makes it sound kind of like an alien or something. So there you go. We've animated it. We brought it back into Premiere. We applied some audio effects to it. We applied some color effects to it. And now all we need to do is export this video. Here, let's trim this audio first. All right. So now we're going to export our final video. Let's go back to the editing workspace. And what you want to do is select your scene and then go to File, Export, Media. For the format, we want to set that to H.264. And they have a preset for YouTube, the YouTube 1080p Full HD. So we'll set it to that. Make sure your output is how you want it. And everything else should be okay. We'll go ahead and cue that. and it's in your queue, and you can press play. So after that's encoded, here it is, my folder. I'd probably organize this better, but there we go. Hello and welcome to Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the example puppets that are ready to use in your own projects. If you click See More, you can download additional puppets, and all these puppets are free to use however you want in your projects. So let's get started. All right, pretty cool. So that's it. Have fun, experiment a little bit, get in there, play around with the character, the different triggers, and play around with the audio settings in Premiere. And the next step would probably be to create your own animations, your own characters. They have a puppet maker, which is also nice to play around with. So have fun, make some videos, and I'll see you next time. Hello and welcome to Adobe Character Animator. These are some of the example puppets that are ready to use in your own projects. If you click See More, you can download additional puppets, and all these puppets are free to use however you want in your projects. So let's get started.